Tonight, let's turn our Bibles to Mark chapter 2. St. Mark's Gospel, chapter 2. We read verses 1 through 7. Mark 2, 1 to 7. And again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house. And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as about the door, and he preached the word unto them. And they come unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born of 4. And when they could not come nigh unto him for the press, they uncovered the roof where he was. And when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. When Jesus saw their faith, he said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, thy sin be forgiven thee. Amen. But there were certain of the scribes sitting there, and reasoning in their hearts, Why doth this man thus speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God only? This is an account of 4 friends, usually said, that knew and experienced the kind of torment, and if you can call it hell on earth, that their friend had gone through. The families, definitely, they were of the same mind. This man was sick of the palsy, couldn't help himself. He had to be carried everywhere. And these people heard that Jesus was around, that he was in a house. And they brought their friend, and they saw that there were so many people in the house. Many people came to listen to him. Probably some sinners were there. There were the religious people, the Pharisees, they were there because we just read about them. The owner of the house definitely was in the house. There were so many people that heard about Jesus that came into that house. Some of them came to listen to him. Some came probably because they were sick. They wanted to be where Jesus was. But these 4 friends, they brought somebody. They brought their friend. And they did not go into the house. They wanted to go into the house, But because there were so many people, they were blocked. They couldn't inch in because they were carrying their friend. They couldn't carry him through because the press was so much. Maybe it was just, everybody was just standing shoulder to shoulder because there were so many people. It's kind of like the kind of thing that you find today when you go to the stadium, when they play soccer. I know it's probably not too popular here, or they're what they call football here, throwing balls and banging heads together. Those kind of things with so many people in there, maybe that is what was going on. So they had this, so many people that there was no room to get in. But these people, these 4 people, they decided to do something extraordinary. They decided to tear down somebody else's house. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't ask the man, our friend, we cannot get him in. We are going to have to break down the door. They didn't break down the door. They went to the roof without asking the homeowner. They just broke down the roof and they got the rope. I mean, this was not something that was very easy to do. It takes a lot of effort to do something like that, to climb to the roof and then to break it down, and then to break it down enough to have enough room to be able to let somebody down. Why would they do that? Why would they take the law into their own hands to break somebody else's home down, to bring somebody to Jesus? Well, there is something here that might interest you. Micah chapter 2, verse 13. Micah 2:13. It says, "The breaker is come up before them. They have broken up and have passed through the gates and are gone out by it. And their king shall pass before them, and the Lord on the head of them." The breaker is come. Tonight, the breaker has come. That breaker is Jesus. You see, these people, when Jesus passes by or passes through a place, there are so many people, they know that Jesus was passing by there. Usually there are throngs of people that will come around him, that will go wherever he went, because they knew that they would get something from Jesus. So these people, they knew that Jesus was going to be at that place. They knew he was there because there are so many people that came around. And they heard that Jesus was there. And they came. But these people also, they have known, even if they were not present, they have heard that Jesus was a rule breaker. They knew that he broke the rules of the Pharisees. They knew that he broke the rule of the time of the law, when they had to, they couldn't even save something on a Sabbath day. If they were hungry, they would rather die than, the law was such that they would rather die than even take something on a Sabbath day. And his disciples at one point, they were hungry and they got to a place and they took the ear of the corn. And the Pharisees said, "Why? Your disciples are not supposed to do that on a Sabbath day." But Jesus is a rule breaker. Yeah. He said, "No, I'm here. Amen. I'm the rule breaker. Amen. That rule is pointing to me, and because it is pointing to me, I can break it because I am fulfilling that law." So these people knew that Jesus is the rule breaker, and the rule breaker is here. Amen. They have heard that Jesus is a sickness breaker. They've heard or they have seen him when Jesus healed so many people. because there was healings in his wings. The Bible already foretold that Jesus had healings in his wings. And they know, or they have heard, or maybe some of them were even present with that woman with the issue of the blood. Again, they were throng around Jesus. When this woman that was besieged by this sickness of the issue of the blood for 12 good years, and had gone everywhere, gone to all the physicians that she knew, and she was not better. She was worse. But when she saw Jesus, she felt that if only I could touch the hem of his garment. And immediately she touched the hem of his garment, she was healed. Yeah. The sickness was broken because the breaker of sickness was there. So these 4 friends, they knew that the breaker of the sickness was around. That was Jesus. Jesus was a death breaker. Some of them probably heard again about Jairus' daughter. That, again, this same woman, when she was going, she was actually going to Jairus because he wanted Jesus to come and heal his daughter that was sick unto the point of death. And by the time they got there, the daughter was already dead. But Jesus not only touched, not even touching the daughter now, or just praying for the daughter, but made that daughter to come back to life. He broke death. Amen. And there was Lazarus for 4 days, was in the tomb. He was dead. And the sister said, if you were here, our brother had not died. But he was the breaker of death. Yeah. The breaker has come. So these people, they knew that the breaker had come. The breaker of anything and everything that was contrary. They knew he was in that house. And if the breaker was there, he could break whatsoever was ailing their friend. They knew that Jesus was a nature breaker. Nature is something that God has set in order. At this time, wind can be contrary to us, heat can be contrary to us, too much rain can be contrary to us, drought can be contrary to us. This is nature. And God has put that nature into effect, and it happened more so because of sin. But Jesus is over nature. Jesus is the creator of nature. And when he put the earth back where he wanted it, all of the contrary nature will be eliminated. So he was able, at the time that he was walking this earth, he was able to break nature. Amen. If you go where water is, if you step in the water, you are going to get in the water. There is something that is called gravity. There is gravity on water. There is gravity on land, and there is gravity on water. If you get in the water, you are not going to float. You are going to go down. But Jesus walked on water. Yeah. He broke nature. And when Peter saw him walking on water, he said, Lord, bid me to come. And he said, come. And as long as his eye was on Jesus, he broke nature for Peter. And when he got his eyes off of Jesus, then he began to sink. So these 4 friends, they felt, if only we can come to the breaker, he's going to break this problem for our friend. Amen. Jesus is the backsliding breaker. Amen. You know, if a person that has been serving God, that has been fervent with God, found himself or herself in a way that is sleepy spiritually, Jesus is able to quicken, able to make that one to come to life again, to come to spiritual living again, because he is a backsliding breaker. That's what Jesus did for Peter. When Peter, he thought that in his own strength, he was able to do things, he said, if all men should forsake you, oh, no, there is no way I'm going to forsake you. He thought that he had the strength by himself. He didn't know that whatever he was able to do was only through the grace of God. And when the devil saw that, the devil came hard on him. And even a little girl said something to Peter, and Peter was not able to withstand a little girl. But when Jesus saw Peter, after when Jesus was on the cross, he told Peter that he was going to be restored, and when he is restored, to take care of his mother. And Peter went away sorrowful. What the devil wanted to do to Peter was to cause him to do exactly what Judas Iscariot did, to go and commit suicide. But instead of that, Jesus was a backsliding breaker. He broke his backsliding. Jesus restored him. And then on the day of Pentecost, Peter stood up among more than 3,000 people and preached unto them Jesus. He had the power of God because the breaker was there. The breaker had broken everything that was timid about him, broke everything that was backsliding about him, broke everything that was not strong about him. He became alive because the breaker was there. You know, Jesus is the breaker of empty religion. People, they knew about Jesus, they knew about God, as we heard in the testimony tonight, and even in the morning. There were people that were born into a church-going family, but they didn't have any victories. They didn't know about salvation. They didn't know about living a life above sin. They were just going to church, and if you ask them, they will say they are Christians, but they were not, and they knew it because they were being condemned in their hearts. That was the kind of person that Nicodemus was. And so he didn't want people to know probably what he was doing, but he was being honest with himself. He came to Jesus by night and asked him what he needed to do to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And Jesus told him that verily, verily, I say unto you, except a man is born again, he cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And he broke that thing in Nicodemus that didn't make him to know God. The empty religion, Jesus broke it for him. Amen. Nicodemus became one of the people that were taking care of Jesus, that among the people that were ruling in the church at that time. He became one of the strong people that were backing Jesus, that were doing the right thing, protecting him as much as they could, because Jesus broke something for him. Jesus is also the curse breaker. Amen. You know, there are people, we heard today about the terrible thing about polygamy. Polygamy is a very terrible thing. If you have been in it, you know what it means. For people who have not been in it, they really don't want to know too much about it because it's so terrible. They can't even comprehend how one man can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wives, sometimes together. They cannot comprehend that. And then there is the banging of heads here and there, and there is the opposition from one wife to the other, because that is not the way God designed it. God designed it for a man to be with a woman throughout life. Yeah. God knew what he was doing. Yeah. God had a very perfect system, and it works. Yeah. It works very well. Yeah. When you think about the wisdom of God for doing that, it is amazing. But when people get away from that and they get into polygamy, then it gets into people cursing other people, within the same family. They don't want the children of the other wife to progress, or they do something against them so that they will not progress in life. They put curse on them. They put so many things, and they tell them, you will never do well. Well, we have an example right here. In your life, you will never do well. And in some cases, they go the devil's way to bring that curse. It is not an empty curse. No. Just like the curse of Balaam that had power in it. They use the power of the devil to make that curse, and the curse sticks. But when you come to Jesus and you are saved and you become a child of God, Jesus is a curse breaker. He will break that curse. Instead of not doing well, you will do well. Actually, you will not just do well, but you are going to do amazingly well. You are going to be successful. Because Jesus knows how to break that curse. He knows you cannot, a child of God, someone that is born again, born with the blood of Jesus, cannot operate under a curse. It is not possible because the blood is right there. And more than all of this, Jesus is a breaker of Satan. You know, every one of us here, what the devil desires is to take us to hell. He will use anything whatsoever, anything that entices you, anything that interests you, he will use it to get you to be hooked to him so it can take you down to hell. And without Jesus, he would have been successful. But thank God that tonight, he is here. Tonight, Jesus is here. The breaker of the devil is right here. Tonight, Jesus is here. Whatever stands in your way, Jesus is not only that he knows how to, Jesus will break it. You know, there's something they call the domino effect. The domino effect is when something is happening, you see it's like the wind. You see it happen to others also. You see one thing happen one place, and then it has effect, and it affects other people. If good is happening, it has a way of affecting many people. And if bad is happening, it has a way of affecting many people because of the domino effect. That's why we thank God for the domino effect of this camp meeting, because the breaker is here. And when those people, those four friends, when they knew that Jesus was there, that the breaker is there, that gave them the impetus, that gave them that confidence, that gave them that hope, that gave them that assurance that if the breaker is there, they have the power to break also. That's why they went to another man's roof and they broke his house. They don't care. They are going to pay it later on, but for right now, let's break it down. They said tonight we are going to break it down. This person that is healed of that is sick of the palsy, we are going to get him healed. No matter what it takes, we are going to break it down. You know, if somebody is not safe tonight, oh boy, the breaker is here. Is going to get broken tonight. The breaker is here tonight. Somebody needs to be sanctified. They have not been sanctified tonight. The breaker is here. Whatever is hailing you not to be sanctified, the breaker is here to break it down. You need to be baptized with the Holy Spirit. The breaker is here. You are sick. The breaker is here. Let's break it down. Let's break it down. The breaker is here.